Hey, Brett Fires.
Hey, welcome to the Bat Lip Bombs podcast, episode 2. We're here to talk about the first weekend of college baseball. Color, what'd you think of the first weekend?
It was pretty good. I think there was a lot of competitive games this weekend.
Not too many great 3-game series, between two teams. The tournaments were a little bit exciting, but overall, I think it was, get the feet wet. Get rolling a little bit more. And I think as time goes on, the games will get better. The competition will get better. We'll see a little bit more electricity on offense as a whole. I think, there were a lot of high-scoring games, but I think we'll not expected first week to have a lot of high-scored games either. No. Depends who you're looking at, though. You think mostly be dominated by pitching. Yeah. I'll tell you who did score high on Sunday did you see the UNLV score? No, I did not. UNLV Pacific was 31-6. I mean, hey, what can I say? We've had some practice in that environment. When the game lasts about 6 hours and you're just sitting there and you're like, wow. Yeah, it's great to be winning like that, but also terrible because you're going to make field for Emperor. Yeah, but 31-6, I mean, the ball must have been flying. Wind must have been blowing out. I mean, you're in like a little bit higher elevation. Yeah, oh yeah. You know what it is, 31-6. I mean, did you see the Stanford-Fullerton game? That was like believable. It was like 22-13. Yeah, and it was similar 13. It was like 13-11 in the ninth. Yeah. Well, no, it was 13-11 in the ninth with Stanford up. Yeah. And then Fullerton hit a bomb, hit Hyatt, and then Stanford scored like 8. Yeah, that series was actually unbelievable. Yeah, that was one of the good series from this weekend. I thought everything was good, though, so far. I mean, the college baseball showdown was really, really good baseball. Yeah. Oklahoma State not doing as good as I would have thought. No, that was definitely a big glare to me. I was kind of underwhelmed by most of their pitching staff, but I thought overall they played okay. Yeah, I think the top half of their lineup looked pretty decent. Yeah. But the bottom half, not so much, and then pair that with not so great pitching in a weekend, and it's kind of a little bit, subpar of a performance. And I mean, we knew TCU was good, but they really, really showed out. Oh, 100%. Yeah, they really did. Except for losing to Missouri. Yeah, but hey, Missouri showed out too. Yeah, from what we were wrong. I guess Missouri did deserve to be in the college baseball showdown, but if they're better than what we think, we were just going off, past what their programs have been like. Yeah. Like, how did they get there, But, I mean, once they got there, they showed out. Yeah, I think, last week when I said maybe someone knows something we don't, maybe somebody knew something we didn't. Yeah, I think that was definitely apparent. But again, I think what you said about TCU, I think they played really well. They beat Vandy in that Friday game, which I was kind of shocked about. I was like, okay, well, what is this Vanderbilt team going to be like this year? Because I know last year they had their question marks. Obviously, they lost in the Oregon State regional, and I think this year, they lost to TCU. I was like, okay, well, is TCU another TCU like they had like the year before? Are they actually like a 15 ranked team, or are they in the top 10? And I think with Vanderbilt answering it the way that they did, in the next 2 games in the weekend, I think it just went to show like how good TCU is this year. Yeah, 100%. I agree. Because TCU, I mean, they smacked Vanderbilt and then they smacked. Yeah. Who else? Arkansas. Yeah, which obviously that's a huge win for them. Huge win for their program. And then had the other big tournament of the week, the MLB Desert Invitational. Yeah, which we forgot the Big Ten teams. We did forget the Big Ten teams, but there wasn't much to be had from the Big Ten teams, to be fair. I think Michigan played better than expected. They did get beat bad by UC San Diego, which is not going to be a good loss for them, but I think there's some pros coming out of it from them. Not, in my opinion, not so much Michigan State, but I think that's a little bit more expected. And you're to look at the two teams. Michigan did have a good year last year. They lost a good bit of guys, but it seems like, they'll be competitive in the Big Ten again. So, and they're a team to look out. Losing Bakich is obviously not going to be great, but no. At the same time, I don't think they're really hurting that bad. No, as I would have thought from what we saw. Yeah, and especially I think what we saw from the other Big Ten teams around the country, I think that Michigan could be up there again. Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, I think I'd be probably like them in Maryland. Indiana played okay again. Yeah, Indiana looked good. Sunday Sunday game, yeah, they played really well. But I mean, Tennessee in that Desert Invitational, what do you see there? I think the hitting was a little subpar. I think their pitching's gonna be just fine. No, particularly when I was saying 0 on Sunday. I mean, I don't know how many. I mean, they only allowed 8 runs. Yeah, 3 games. Yeah, that's definitely not bad. I think that's expected. Honestly, some might say that's a bad weekend for their pitching staff. Yeah. So I think that's kind of a plus for them to see that, they still have the pitchers. Yeah. Now their hitting, I'm a little bit worried about. Came around a little bit on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday they hit well. As since you decided preseason, yeah, should have happened. But I don't know, putting up 3 runs in 2 games against that was Arizona and Grand Canyon, I have a little bit of a question mark. Yeah, I thought the base running was really bad. Like they got thrown out at third at the end of an inning, got thrown out at second, trying to take an extra base on a throw that was overthrown, hit the net, was right there. So I thought the base running was bad. I thought the outfield play was pretty bad. I thought the positioning of kind of the outfielders was not great. Yeah, I mean, I think it's as expected though. Like in the beginning part of the year, you did lose a lot in that lineup. So I think especially their spark plugs. I mean, with Beck and Gilbert gone, I mean, it's a little bit. You got fine, but like I think Christian Moore's that guy eventually. But week 1 it might take him some time to get there. So I think it was a disappointing weekend to say the least. But I think they'll be able to turn it around. Yeah, I think they'll be fine. Grand Canyon looked really, really good. Yeah, in their first 2 games. And then obviously the Big Ten got to them. The Big Ten got to them. Weird. Big Ten baseball, weird. Yeah, but they looked really good. I think the first 2 games, if anything, I mean you're thinking. I know we talked about it on the weekend. We're thinking, crap, is this like a top 25 team? And 100%. But the next 2 games are a little bit disappointing, underwhelming. But the first 2 games, they looked compete against anyone. Yeah, 100%. And their pitching, I mean, I knew obviously that they were a good program coming into the year, but I was really impressed by their pitching staff. Yeah, they looked really well. Yeah, they have some solid arms. I mean, Jacob Wilson. Yeah, obviously good. I mean, let off the game against Tennessee with a triple. Mm-hmm. Got things rolling. Had a little bit quiet. Yeah, last game Friday had the double and the bomb. Did he end up getting a bomb for that? I don't know. I can't remember. But he dominated the first 2 games. Yeah, he did really well the first 2 games. That's kind of what you expect from him. And in the big game, he came through, which was I think that's a really good sign for Grand Canyon. Yeah, kind of show like, okay, if we get in that regional setting, which that was a lot like a regional setting, even though the first weekend of the year, packed house. Yeah. What are you going to get from your players? Is it going to be too big for them, or are they going to kind of get right to it? Yeah, and I think it was a good start to the season for them. Yeah. Big blow kind of for LSU. Yeah, I know. Losing Tommy Tanks for I don't know how long. Yeah, I saw a tweet today that said he was back hitting. He was back saying, "Oh, Tommy Tanks isn't too bad." Obviously, my preseason player of the year. Yes, that's not good for me. Mine went yard this week. Who else? Heidi. I mean, it's Listen Cruz, former River Rat. Gotta love it. Gotta show the respect. He did his thing this weekend. He played really well. I don't think it stopped their offense though. Definitely not. I mean, they're playing Western Michigan, so they are. But they did what they should have done. They did what they should, which is exactly where you want to be at this. Yeah, and I think that's important. They look good from every facet, really. Yeah, and you can't complain. Even if a game was, I think there was one game that was 2 runs, 5-3 or something like 6-3. But other than that, they look good from every angle, and especially Friday night. Mm-hmm. Skeens is unbelievable. Oh, electric. Obviously, we knew he was really good at Air Force, but he's at Air Force. The only day I really got to see him was when they played Texas last year. Yeah, but I mean, did he get to hit at all this weekend? I didn't see him in the lineup Friday or Saturday. He might have gotten in Sunday. I mean, I don't know. We could probably look it up, but the fact of the matter is if they really have that much confidence in their lineup to not put him in the lineup, yeah, that's going to tell you something. Yeah, I mean, dude's crazy on the mound and hitting, so I think it's he got no ABs, so
if that tells you anything about LSU,
yeah, when we put her going to be top returning hitters for the year, and he don't even hit in the weekend, it's
yeah.
when a guy that's got 24 career jacks in 2 years and hit 410 as a freshman and 315 as a sophomore.
Yeah, he's not playing. That's absurd.
But yeah, I thought they looked good overall, and their pitching looked like it was in a really good spot too. So yeah, I think LSU is going to be staying up there at number 1 for a while.
Yeah,
Playing like that.
yeah.
Texas A&M looked really good. Louisville obviously looked really, really good.
Yeah, I think they took care of business against Bucknell.
But Wake Forest,
Wake Forest, their ace.
yeah,
Loader.
yeah.
Dude, he is electric. He is an absolute stud. So, I know there were some people that were getting upset about
So people were upset we didn't have Wake in the top 10 of our first ranking, but yeah, we got him in there now. We got him at 8.
Yeah, and not even number 1 in the ACC. That kind of pissed people off. But I think they proved themselves this opening weekend. Took care of business against Illinois and Youngstown State.
Mm.
But yeah, their ace was as good as anyone's.
Yeah, I think the thought behind Wake not putting Wake in the top 10 in the first kind of ranking was just that we haven't seen them do much in the postseason.
Yeah,
In a long time, so we're just kind of skeptical. I want to see how they do as the year progresses on, and they'll work their way up, I assume.
yeah.
But
UNC, kind of an underperforming weekend for them.
very underwhelming. Yeah, I thought that they were nowhere near as good as I expected them to be.
No, yeah, I feel like I'm in the same boat there. I think that time they showed they were good.
Yeah,
But playing a Seton Hall team that isn't incredible,
yeah,
and dropping the Friday night game, especially what you're kind of expecting with the talent level on Friday nights in the ACC compared to Big Ten or Big East Friday nights, you're kind of expecting UNC, especially at home, opening day, your preseason ranked very high to kind of come out with a bang, and it was kind of a letdown. So looking forward to this weekend series that they have against ECU to see if they can kind of bounce back and show us that maybe it was just a fluke.
yeah. No, I'm really excited for that series. That's going to be an unbelievable series. I mean, it'll already be done by the time this is put out, but the ECU Campbell game tonight, I'm pumped for. I think that's going to be a really good game. 2 really good programs over the past few years, just going at it.
Yeah, I think, thinking it's gonna be a slugfest.
It might be a slugfest. I don't know where is it at.
I don't know. It might be at. I don't know. That's a great.
I think it
might be at Campbell,
I think it is.
but it could be not Campbell. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall that's going to be a really good kind of game, and you get to see really good competition against really good competition.
Yeah,
Here and some lesser known teams that people don't really get to see nationally covered. I think that'll kind of showcase what those guys have, and we'll be able to see Jacob Jenkins Cowart with the nasty stash probably hit at least 1 nuke.
yo,
I hope. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a good week. We got some good games tonight. Got some good series this weekend. Kind of getting back into the normal college baseball atmosphere as the season starts. Now to kind of go through last week. Talk to me about the Charlotte Ball State game.
yeah. So the one that he might be referencing is the Friday game. So the Friday game, that was my game of choice to watch on Friday. I thought that was like the best one on. And I really wanted to see Ryan Brown for Ball State pitch. I was like, okay, well, Matt Pitcher of the Year for us that we chose. And against a good Charlotte lineup, a really good Charlotte lineup, they ended up scoring a lot of runs the rest of the weekend. And he shut him down. I think there was a moment in the game, I think it was kind of like the after he pitched the 5th inning, he had a couple of accuracy issues, walked a couple of guys, got himself into a jam, ended up striking a dude out to get out of the inning. I was like, okay, dude's probably done. Through like 5, I think it was like the 5th or 6th inning. Nope. No. The Maloney's just say, no, you're going back out there, Sam.
Yeah.
And so, dude handled it really well. Very tight game. Charlotte wasn't letting up at all. I think their guy that was out there was like
92, 94.
Yeah, Charlotte's all have really, really good arms.
And Ryan Brown was out there, and they were both dealing. Ended up being a 2-1 ball game. They threw him 8. So 8 innings first weekend, 1 run against Charlotte for Ryan Brown. I think that's
I can't ask for much more.
yeah, it's a really good start for him and for his year this year. So that one was a really good game. I think I put it this way. I said it this last week that I think Charlotte would win the series because of the depth.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what got this weekend. And Charlotte obviously rebounded nicely. I think that lineup, more like veteran lineup with some good transfers on the mound, I think that got to Ball State a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for the past probably 4 or 5 years, Charlotte's arms have been unbelievable. Like, they've just been pushing out arms after arms after arms. And
Yeah.
I think that's really going to help them through this year. I think the Conference USA is a little down kind of this year.
Yeah, because I think you have like, some teams that are like moving conferences.
Yeah,
Some teams aren't normally good, like FIU.
yeah,
Is not as good this year. So
I think Charlotte will have a good shot in the Conference USA.
yeah, I think so as well.
Now, what are you seeing with the pitch clock stuff?
Interesting. I don't know how I like it because I mean, personally speaking, I think it's good for the game as a fan.
Mhm.
As a fan, I think I like it a lot. But I think me being a pitcher, I'd be pretty upset if I got called on that. Like you could be in a tight situation and things are going on, things are moving quick, and you may be a bad, sign given by the catcher, and next thing you know, you're like, oh, gotta repeat it, and next thing you know, you're having to hurry yourself up on a 3-2 2-out count with bases loaded because the catcher can't freaking relay a sign, and that shouldn't be necessarily on the pitcher,
Yeah.
or the catcher. I mean, it's just a different dynamic to the game. They want to make it move faster.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to it, but I think as time goes on, it'll get better. But right now, I think it's a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we had it last year. Pitching wise,
It wasn't as strict.
it wasn't nearly as strict, and I don't think I ever saw it enforced on the hitter, like we did this weekend a few times.
Yeah, it's.
Christian Moore for UT, that one was bad, where he just wouldn't give him time.
Oh, I know.
And I don't know if that was because he didn't want to push the clock, or if there would have been like a violation, or kind of what that was. But
I don't know, but I did see something that there was the official rules of the NCAA. You actually, time doesn't need to be granted unless the umpire thinks that the hitter actually needs time. And I don't know the situation because I didn't see the entire clip of like the entire at bat or even before he stepped into the box. But I know when he was in the box, he was in a full-blown stance. Maybe the pitcher was trying to quick pitch him, but for the amount of times he said time, there's no way the pitcher quick pitched him. It just wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
And maybe the umpire just thought to himself, I'm not going to give this kid time. He doesn't need it. And that could have been the case, but
yeah, I mean, that confused me. Normally when you ask for it, you get it.
yeah, normally with the whole ball,
Like, as long as they're not starting their windup, in the middle of their windup, you're gonna get time. So I thought that was definitely a little weird.
thought it was funny though.
Glad it was green. I know. I'm glad it was a ball because I can't imagine what Tony B would have done if it was
Oh, I'm sure he would have been.
if he would have like punched out or something on that pitch.
Do you think it affects the pitcher though? I mean, like if me as a pitcher, if I'm hearing a kid scream time, I'm kind of expecting the umpire to grant that kid time. If I'm not in my delivery, that like if he just doesn't call it, then I'm like, okay, I guess
If I recognize that he's not calling it, I'd probably honestly go quicker.
yeah, but
if he's not
force you to throw a ball.
Yes, it could.
I don't know. It's just a weird dynamic. It's gonna take some time to get used to.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be interesting. I mean, I know people are getting really pissed off about it, but if it's anything like it was last year, where we could just literally step off,
Make a fake run. I think you can only pick off like once per pitch on it. I don't know though. Do not.
you could step off, make a fake throw, and then
Or maybe you can't make a fake throw. Maybe you actually have to make a throw.
I did see one jump pick that dude didn't throw on. They weren't even covering in a balk this weekend, which was just that's some bad baseball.
And NCAA baseball there.
So also one of the better games of the weekend that I watched was the
the Mississippi State BMI one. I mean, BMI was down 10-1, came back, tied it, took the lead, ended up winning. And you kind of thought Mississippi State was going to come back because VMI had their center fielder in, who I assume was a pretty good arm normally. But I think Velo was a little down, and then they brought in a guy from the bullpen, and you're kind of thinking with the way it was rolling, Mississippi State had all the momentum. But this dude was electric. Oh my gosh. Dude, he came out, he was 96, 98, and I was like, where on earth did this come from?
Yeah. At VMI, I wouldn't have thought that.
I know, right? He was unbelievable. He was just blowing people's doors off. I mean, I thought that was a really cool win for VMI. Probably a team that didn't get that opportunity much to go down there in Starkville on a weekend series. It's got to be a great feeling to get that W.
Yeah, definitely. Now to roll it to another Big South team that I was pretty impressed with this weekend, because I thought this series was gonna be really good. It ended up being 2-1, but I think it was weird on how the outcomes of each game were.
Mm-hmm.
So the Campbell-Rutgers series was very good in my opinion. I think Campbell started off on a great note. Obviously, their Friday night guy's electric. He did really well. They took care of business on Friday, took care of business on Saturday against Rutgers. Then Rutgers kind of had them on Sunday. I don't know. We'll see what they do with their pitching staff on Sundays moving forward with Campbell, but I think that was a really good matchup, especially with a Big Ten team that's projected to be one of the better Big Ten teams this year. And for Campbell to take care of business with them, I think just, kind of solidified themselves in a lot of the top mid-major programs.
Yeah, and I think that really kind of shows also where the Big Ten is at, because that's supposed to be one of your better teams, and Campbell is a really, really, really good team. So it's not taking that much away from kind of the Big Ten, but I think you see that. I think you see Northwestern just get spanked by Texas State. I mean, both those are kind of worrisome if you're below kind of Rutgers and Northwestern.
Yeah, there definitely was a couple question marks. I think Illinois was third or fourth in the preseason rankings for the Big Ten, and even they had a close game against Youngstown State, which can be a little surprising because they were in that Wake Forest little round robin tournament thing.
Those are always weird.
And I think that there's a couple teams in the Big Ten that are going to be pretty solid. Like, you're going to have your Marylands, your Rutgers, I guess Illinois, if you're going to put it there. I mean, Michigan can compete. But other than that, I mean, you look at the bottom of the Big Ten and you're thinking to yourself, like, woof. Like, for Northwestern to go down to Texas State and let up that many runs, kind of worrisome on the pitching staff. But I think it's a good sign for Campbell.
Yeah,
it's an okay sign for Rutgers. I think
winning the Sunday is not bad. I mean, Sundays are always unbelievably unpredictable.
Yeah,
no matter
especially earlier in the year, because that's kind of like the guy. Like, I always like to think of this, and now coaches might see a little bit different than me. Your Sunday guy to start off the year is like, that's your last starter.
Yeah.
Now there's different situations where different teams have their worst guys, their Saturday guy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very unpredictable. You don't know what you're gonna get. Typically a younger arm.
Yeah.
Younger arm that's kind of like, okay, well, we're gonna throw him in there because he has potential to be really good later down the line, and we'll see. Sometimes you get those younger guys. Big velo, but did no idea what
kind of didn't have the pedigree to be a Friday or Saturday guy at that point in their career. Now we'll kind of get into the rankings and kind of break down our thoughts on where the moves were, why we put them there, and just kind of where they're at as a team. I mean, LSU, like we talked about, number one, they obviously killed it this weekend.
Yeah.
No question about it. Stay one. It's an easy pick.
Solid weekend.
Yeah. Not really much to talk about. Dylan Cruz looked good. Skeens looked good. Tom White obviously got hurt, but he was hitting back today. He'll be back. I don't think they're too worried about that. And then Stanford. I think Fullerton caught me by surprise.
I think so too, because we don't have them super high in the Big West rankings.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not low, but they're not very high. They showed a lot. They showed out this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a really good program, so you would expect something like that, especially as a home series for them.
Yeah.
But
they were definitely a lot better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And so I think those wins from Stanford were actually some really, really quality wins that'll be good for them later down the line, RPI wise.
Yeah, I think especially when their pitching settles in a little bit, maybe some nerves of opening weekend, then they'll get back into it. I mean, obviously Fullerton playing a team that was like preseason 3 in the country, they're obviously going to have a lot of we want to show them. So they probably came up with a little bit more energy than Stanford did on Friday. So I think Stanford's ace is unbelievable, anyways.
Yeah.
I think he'll settle in as the year goes on, and I think they'll be just fine. They have Braden Montgomery, too. So I think they'll be okay as time goes on. They'll be good. I think, just winning 2 out of 3.
Real next those runs again, like they do every year, where you're just like, oh, there's a super regional at Stanford, and they won. Now they're going to the World Series. Or
Yes, it's probably going to be one of those years.
Yeah. Then we got Florida. I mean, Florida dominated this weekend. So really, like same as LSU. I mean, Texas A&M, the same thing. They all three just kind of dominated the weekend, and
yeah. I mean, say they did exactly what they were supposed to. Exactly. I think the same thing with the Louisville too. Speaking on that, followed their games a little bit, and they honestly just wasn't really that competitive versus Bucknell. So, and I think those are always tough weekends. Not to win all 3, but it's just tough weekends to blow a team out.
Yeah, because first weekend, everybody's gonna have unlimited energy.
Yeah,
everybody's gonna be playing as absolutely hard as they can. So I think those can be tough to blow somebody out every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think they played solid. They played well. I don't think there was really hardly any mistakes. And just kind of took care of business.
Yeah, no big questions there. Job in Tennessee to 6. Felt like, something you have to do.
They have something to prove. And
yes.
They have to prove something. And I think that's like the biggest thing is they're just going to have to prove to us that they can hit at the level that we think they're capable of. But obviously, again, losing some guys, it might take them a little bit of time. But for now, we see him in the 6th spot.
Yeah. I think dropping them there is a good spot for them to be. Pitching, obviously, going to be fine. Yeah. Hitting, like you said, I think it's going to come around. Like, not too worried with them. They'll figure out defensively kind of what the correct thing to do is. And they played all weekend without their assumed starting shortstop, which is also big. Like,
yeah, it was also a big question mark.
Yeah, like what?
Didn't know that going into the year.
They didn't know until they got there Friday.
That's wild.
How does the NCAA mess that up? Like, is that an NCAA thing?
It was a Tennessee thing. Didn't you read into it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so Tennessee apparently paid for a flight of his, which it wouldn't be an issue, but it was before Kansas sent his transcripts to Tennessee. So Tennessee self-reported the violation. Yeah, said, okay, we messed up. We paid for this kid's flight before we got... There's some NCAA rule, of course, obviously, with, like, transcripts being sent over. So his transcripts didn't get sent over. So because his transcripts didn't get sent over before they paid for this flight for his visit, that caused him to be ineligible because now the NCAA had to look into it. And then... Usually, I heard there's like a level 2 or level 3 violation, and yes, one of those. I think it was a level 3, which is you self-report something. It's usually a minor like slap on the wrist.
Yeah,
nothing to be a big deal, but to find out on right before the weekend is just
I mean, his whole family flew out from Hawaii to watch the game, and then that sucks for them. But happy that I'm sure it'll get kind of figured out.
Hopefully,
because he's going to be a really good player this year.
Oh, yeah. Big, sure, at least a piece of their program.
Yeah, I'm sure he wants to prove himself in the SEC as well. Because, I mean, being in Kansas, like, you aren't getting the most notoriety there.
Yeah.
So being at UT and being in a big conference, like the best conference here, you're going to get seen.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, what do you think there? I mean, I thought they took care of business.
The same old. I think I think the biggest one that I would like to talk about is what's coming next is Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest again. To some of the people that had some problems with where we rank Wake Forest. Yeah, I mean I think it's addressed. They had a good weekend. All right, I'm sure if you guys are watching this, you're probably thinking to yourself, "Oh, about time." But they proved it. So they get to be in the top 10 now.
Yeah, and it's not like they weren't top 15.
Not really on the list. So.
I mean, if you're really that worried about it, I think you have bigger issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, like we said, TCU at 9. I mean, I think we maybe could have put them higher, maybe.
Could have. If they wouldn't have lost to Missouri,
Yeah.
probably would have put them
Could
higher.
have put them at like 7, 6, 7, somewhere in there. But I think they looked a lot better than I expected.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to be a top-notch program this year. I think kind of at the forefront of the Big 12. Even though Texas Tech kind of proved themselves against Gonzaga this weekend. I mean, they kind of gave it to Gonzaga. So I think, TCU is definitely the team to beat there right now, especially how they played in that compared to all the other teams in the conference. So, yeah, I think they definitely deserve to be in the top 10 now. And here's the last bit.
Yeah, last round out the top 10, we got ECU. I mean, just solid all the way around. Just kind of doing what they do.
Yeah, it's ECU. I mean, every year they're going to be pretty solid. Definitely a little bit of an, underrated program, if you would say. I mean, a lot of people just don't look at ECU. Even when I was growing up, even when I was in high school and I had friends that were committed to ECU, I was like, oh, why are they committed to ECU? Not really realizing that ECU is a historically really good program, not really thinking to myself, oh, yeah, Mike Trout was committed to ECU. And so, I mean,
I think you've seen over the past few years. I mean,
they pretty
2 years ago they had the or I guess I don't know if it was technically, yeah, I guess it was 2 years ago when they had the Super Regional in Nashville against Vandy. I mean, I thought they played pretty well.
Gavin Williams.
Yeah, Gavin Williams against both like Kumar.
Yeah, what was that, 2-1 or something? Yeah, Gavin Williams with the Guardians now, and he's doing very well.
Yeah, and then last year the series with Texas was obviously really good too.
Yeah.
So I think ECU is going to be the same kind of as they were last year and the few years before. Then we get in the mid-major, flip the top 3 around a little bit, or I guess top 2. We had Grand Canyon at number 1 now, just because I think that win against UT was big. The 2 losses were not what they wanted, but I felt like they were kind of hungover from the night before.
Yeah. I think the way to put it is they showed us more than what they didn't show us.
Yeah.
So I think, by having those wins against Arizona, against Tennessee, actually, no, not against Arizona, against UC San Diego and Tennessee, I think those 2 wins put together, combined, kind of showed us what we needed to see, what they're capable of doing this year. And it's always tough to play a 4-game series, four games in a weekend, in a tournament. So, yeah, obviously they were hungover after the Tennessee game, not literally, figuratively, and
Literally,
maybe if you're over 20.
I'm sure some of them
Might have been. Could have been. But yeah, then losing to Michigan, and then obviously, that 4th game on a weekend, I don't know who they're running out there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the 4-game series at the beginning of the year really don't make that much of a difference. I mean, the 4th game is irrelevant almost, because you're not going to have that once you get into conference play, and conference play is really the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
So,
well, then after them, you got Campbell.
like we've been talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of hit on them a little bit. They kind of proved themselves a lot. They did well. And now I think they probably would have been number 1 if they would have swept against Rutgers.
Yes.
And but again, great program, solid program. Looking forward to the year that they're going to have in the Big South. I don't really think anyone rivals them, even USC Upstate. No, I think they rival them. Then you got Connecticut, had a pretty good weekend against Ohio State. Just doing Connecticut things. I think it's that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Like they're probably one of the most teams in the past 4 years that I've seen that you're just like, I'm not going to pay attention to Connecticut all year long, and next thing you look and they're 38-13.
Yeah, they're always.
And you're just like, okay, well, guess that they had another good year. But then Florida Gulf Coast at 4, they gave it to Hofstra, and Hofstra's not a bad Colonial.
No.
So that was a good weekend for them. And then actually, I think, the biggest one is 5, Lipscomb.
Lipscomb's huge. I mean, getting the 2 wins over Notre Dame. I mean, we were watching Friday, Dunkelberger, and looked really, really good. And you kind of see him trot out on the mound, and you're like, is this a Friday night guy? No, yeah, when you look at him, but yes, he is. He can pitch. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he's fun to watch. Lipscomb was just a fun team to watch this weekend, I thought.
Yeah. I think Ethan Smith did really well on Saturday.
Our Vandy guy went to UT. Now he's transferred to Lipscomb. I mean,
They got 2 guys on the mound. They had a little bit. They returned a lot of hitting.
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
They'll be dangerous in the Ace Hunt for sure. I think actually it'd be really good to see the weekend series between Liberty and Lipscomb.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be a good one.
Yeah, I think the kind of be a 3-team race between, or I guess 4-team race between Liberty, Lipscomb, Florida Gulf Coast,
Oh yeah,
and
you're gonna say Jack State,
no, Kennesaw.
Kennesaw. Oh yeah, I forgot about Kennesaw.
I know. So that's gonna be kind of a stacked conference this year.
I think got Jack State too.
Yeah, and Jack State. I think that's why in our conference rankings we had them attending. So I think with those kind of 5 teams right there, that's a really, really good conference. It's kind of underrated.
Definitely.
6 we have Wofford.
Yep.
They're good. Again, not much to really say. They kind of did what you would expect them to do.
You can say the same about Oral Roberts.
Yeah, same thing with Oral Roberts. They handled business. Did what they needed to do. One of the teams I was most impressed by, or kind of two of the teams, are these next two West Coast teams with UNLV and Fullerton. Obviously, we talked about them both a little bit, but UNLV, obviously they're playing Pacific, who was not great, but they looked really, really good. Bats were alive and jumping. Fullerton playing against Stanford looked really, really good. A lot better than you would have expected.
Oh, 100%. I think they definitely shocked a lot of people. I do want to see it continue from them.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see them kind of build upon that and not kind of like lose steam. Just because you're playing like a top 5 team in the country opening weekend, I like to see them kind of, keep up with that. And I think honestly, them now being over UC Santa Barbara for like the top spot in the Big West is big news. I think Santa Barbara was a little bit underwhelming this past weekend, dropping 2, especially that last game. But again, fourth game of the weekend to Oregon State, losing 11-0 is just tough. And they lost to New Mexico early on I think the second game of the weekend.
Yeah.
Which isn't a great loss, but again, I think they're very talented, have a lot of guys coming back. So, kept them in the top 10, but I want to see them improve a little bit this next weekend.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. And now for one of the last segments we're going to get into, we're going to go to the kind of the matchups of the week. So first one we'll have Vandy versus UCLA.
Yeah. I'm that's going to be a really good one in my opinion. Honestly, I think go either way. And with how it's going to go. But, being in Nashville and, being in the Middle Tennessee area for the past 5 years, I'm going to go with Vandy. Just because, I live very close to the baseball field. So might have to go to a game or two, depending on weather.
Yeah, I think the last 2 games kind of saw Vandy's offense is looking a lot better than they were last year almost. Yeah. So I'm going to go with Vandy as well. Then we got ECU UNC, which I think is probably going to be one of the best series maybe of the year.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very interesting. After the weekend UNC had last week, it's going to be tough to pick UNC. If I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm actually going to pick UNC. I'm going to think they have a little bit more to prove than ECU does. And just because last year, early in the year, ECU did lose to Bryant, got swept by Bryant at home. Now, I think that, UNC having the loss to Seton Hall, I think that, they're going to be looking for some revenge. I think it was just kind of like a fluke. Mm-hmm. But, I think they're going to end up coming out and winning a series. Now, there's two in Greenville, one in Chapel Hill, so we'll see. They just have to kind of get one, I think, in Greenville, and then I think at Chapel Hill, they might be able to solidify it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look for a good crowd, I mean, it's probably going to be rocking Friday down in Saturday in Greenville, North Carolina. I'm going to stay opposite of you. I'm going to go ECU.
All right.
We got Ole Miss, Maryland.
We go Ole Miss. I'm going to go Ole Miss, and I think it's just because you're playing, at Ole Miss Stadium. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be packed. Another, big time matchup, 2 ranked teams. I don't think Maryland's gonna quite get it. I think that Ole Miss had a good weekend. They're kind of building off something, and I think it's just gonna be tough to go into Ole Miss and win a series.
I agree. I'm gonna go with Ole Miss as well. I think Maryland will probably steal one, but I think it's gonna be tough for them to win the full series with the arms Ole Miss has and the bats we saw from this past weekend.
Yeah, so now to move on to the mid-major games of the week.
This is what we're excited for.
Yeah, this is the segment that always gets us going a little bit. The first one is Oral Roberts at Texas State. So yeah, Oral Roberts, Texas State. I think that'll be a great one. As you saw, I mean, what Texas State did to Northwestern, brutal. Yeah, brutal. I mean, if you are a Northwestern fan and you follow their baseball team, I'm sorry.
And I was kind of wondering what Texas State would have after last year.
Yes.
I know when we were really good in 2018, we lost a lot to the draft. And I was kind of wondering if that would happen to them because I feel like they're kind of in the same boat, but looks to be back to the way it was. I mean, they're really good. They showed this weekend playing Oral Roberts who's a powerhouse program in the mid-major level.
Yes.
Who's going to make it to the regional every year.
Yeah, I think good one. I think it will be as well. I personally am going to take Texas State. I don't know about Brock over here, but I think Texas State, what they showed from the offensive side of the ball, I think that was incredible. And I think that's going to be a little bit overwhelming for Oral Roberts, even though Oral Roberts always has good pitching. But I think it's not. I think it's going to stay away. If it goes into the small ball game, I think Oral Roberts might be able to sneak a couple out. But I think if it doesn't stay that way, then Texas State will.
Yeah, this is one of those series where the game's actually going to dictate, I think, who wins it.
Yeah.
If it's a power pitching, power hitting, I think it'll be Texas State. If it's kind of small ball, I think it could be Oral Roberts because they're an experienced club. They're going to be really disciplined. But I think overall, I'm going to go pick Texas State as my winner.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us into the next one, which is Jack State versus SIU. So yeah, it's one of the teams that used to be in the OVC, Jacksonville State. So now in the A-Sun, another competitor. They're playing SIU this weekend. I think that one's going to be a really good one. Just because, both programs are kind of like on the up and coming. I think if you looked 5 years ago and looked at both those teams, if that was going to be a good weekend series, everyone kind of agrees with you. It's not one of the ones to look out for. They're decent programs, but both teams getting a little bit more money into their programs. SIU had a great year last year.
Yeah,
they got a lot of returners from that team this year. I think Jacksonville State looked pretty good against Georgia this past weekend. So I think that's what's going to make it exciting. Just knowing from playing them from experience, they're two very similar teams, in my opinion. So I think that weekend will be very competitive just because of how similar.
Yeah, I think when you play both of them, they're both pretty, nothing really jumps out at you, but they're both pretty solid.
Always pretty good pitching.
Yeah, pretty good pitching, solid hitting. They're going to have two guys in their lineup probably that can bop it a little bit, but other than that, you're trying to get solid guys throughout the lineup who are going to be tough outs. I think I'm going to go SIU.
You're going to go SIU?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna go Jack State, and the reason why is because of the what's his name, Friday night guy, like AJ Cossey or something. I think he might win the Friday game for them, and then I think if he wins the Friday game, I could kind of set the tone for the weekend.
For Banana, Matthew Steidel, I think he's gonna throw really well for SIU this weekend. He's looked really good so far, and just kind of excited to see him throw. Long hair, looks a lot like Rhett Lauder from Wake Forest, body wise, not necessarily throwing, but I think that'll be a fun one to watch. Should be good games overall.
Yeah. So guys, if you guys kind of like us talking about mid majors, you guys can kind of follow it a little bit more. We're gonna have updated conference power rankings every week. It's something that we wanted to do because there's not really any other places that are doing it, and I think it's always fun to see your favorite team, the team that you're on, see where you guys kind of stack up in our minds. And we wanted to give you guys that opportunity to kind of see where our thoughts every single week of where the conferences are headed and looking at the moment.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of mid-major baseball that's just really good baseball
that doesn't get the coverage that it really needs. And I think this would give us an opportunity to kind of cover you guys and let everybody see how good of baseball this is. Like, people think that the Power Fives are just head and shoulders above when they're really not. Like, any given day, mid-major team can go in and beat any Power Five.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's fun. Try and shine more light on it. Shows kind of an even playing field, and want to highlight those blue collar mid-major boys.
Yeah, that are definitely going through it. If you guys had bad weather this weekend, when it was on Thursday, I bet there was a ton of mid-major teams that were out there cleaning their fields on Friday morning.
People work hard then, pushing all the ice off the tarp.
Yeah, when it was like 40 degrees outside, and you're just like, man, I wish we had turf, and you don't.
Yeah, and you know, there's probably 2 or 3 guys that are out there barefoot because they're psychopaths.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just part of it. That's mid-major baseball, and that's what we love. But yeah, I think it's been a good week. We're excited to see some of the games this weekend. And you have anything else? No. This is the Bat Flip Bombs podcast. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next week.